MPL presents Cricbuzz Live. There was a catchphrase in a Bollywood film a few years ago where the hero said, "Don't angry me." Well, somebody obviously angried Ajinkya Rahane to the extent that he went out and scored 100. It was not the Ajinkya Rahane we know. It was not the calm, silky, smooth player who would get to a landmark and raise his bat, doff his cap. Instead, there was a fist pump. There was a different, charged-up Ajinkya Rahane picking up the highest individual score for the Rajasthan Royals. Yes, we'll dub him Rowdy Rahane from now on. What an innings it was. Let's see the reaction of our guests in the studio. You agree with that, Shaun Pollock? Rowdy Rahane?
I don't think there can ever be a Rowdy Rahane, but that's as close as he gets. Maybe he was Josh Butler in disguise. I mean, he started to play a couple of the ramp shots and came to the fore, but good for him. I suppose it's been a bit of a difficult time. The captaincy's changed. Maybe that's worked in his favour. It takes the pressure off his shoulders. But it's nice to always see a good guy. He's a good guy. I haven't worked with him for a few years, but to see him come good and play nicely was impressive.
16 of 17 when that shot of Akshar Patel was dropped by Ishant Sharma, who'd be not feeling great about himself in the dressing room.
Yeah, it'd be probably feeling bad, especially when you look at that scorecard. I mean, it's just Rahane who's got runs. Everybody around him except Smith with, 20, 30 odd. You've got a couple of blobs in there. So had that catch been taken...
He's in my MPL team. Give him 50. Smith got 50.
Did he? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just looking at Rahane all the way.
It felt like that.
It felt like that.
I just added your 20 and 30 together and got to 50. Yeah.
It was just Rahane. So there was, except for that knock, so things could have gone differently, but you got to give all credit to him. Because yes, he was dropped at 17, but after that, there was no chances. He played beautifully. I mean, he timed the ball. Maybe the wicket also works in his favour. The ball was coming on. Not too much spin there, and he made full use of that opportunity. And he was there till the end. Maybe for Rajasthan, they'd probably feel sad that they didn't get to face many balls after he got to 100, and especially in the last 3 overs. He played, 3 or 4 balls?
5 balls.
Yeah,
he got to 100 of 58 deliveries. You'd expect someone 100 plus not out to get a bit of strike at the end, no matter who's at the other end, and he doesn't. 5 deliveries, he could only add 5 runs to that tally, and they lost a couple of wickets at the end. And let's just remind ourselves, 198 for 2 is what they scored against Sunrisers Hyderabad. It was chased down, so they might just feel, despite that great effort, could they be a little bit short, even at the end, knowing that surface? I know it's a good total, the runs on the board, but...
Yeah, the runs on the board. Delhi is a side. You're not sure how they're going to approach it. So, they should have got more. With that start, where the position they were at 10, 15, 18, at any stage, they should have got more runs. They would be disappointed with that. But at the start of the game, I think if you'd offered them 191, they would probably take it with both hands.
Yeah, that's possibly the one they look at is the 8.2 between 16 to 20. They lost 4 wickets, scored only 41 runs. With that platform, that's the number you'd want to change.
Yeah, it is. And it might be a surface, though, when you first come to the crease that it's difficult to get going. Maybe the ball's skidding on. Maybe it's not easy just to stand and deliver because the 2 guys who got in got a score. But they'll be disappointed with that ending. I think that you always do feel if you've got 2 wickets down or 3 wickets down, that you're going to have some firepower at the end. Stokes didn't come good for them again. I think maybe they were trusting on him to try and pick up some boundaries at the back end. But I think the bowling effort of the guys at the back end of the innings was impressive. There were some good full deliveries bowled and good lines held. I wasn't overly impressed by their performance at the start. I think there was too many balls that were sliding down the leg side. It's an easy game for these batsmen in the T20 format. But when you make it extra easy by just giving them freebies, I don't think the captain and also the decision to give Rutherford an over, I think they might be regretting.
And what about Rabada? I was asking. He's got 2 wickets. The difference probably he's made is from 191 they may have got to 200 or 10. But if he bowls those overs at the top and picks up a wicket or 2 at the start, the difference could be much more. There could be, would they get to 190? How would you use them?
Yeah, I think he's got a strength of bowling those Yorkers, and maybe the people say to you, well, if he bowled the 15th and 17th over, then they might not try those kind of shots against a player like him. But because it's the last over, they just go for gold and try and hit the boundaries. But I do hear your point sometimes, particularly in when you're trying to defend a score. Guys are kept. I know we were often very conscious of it with Malinga, of don't leave it too late because he can't do a job once he's only got 5 or 6 runs to defend. So I do hear that point, but I think they're quite happy with the fact that he bowls those last 2 when they're bowling first.
Go back to Rahane for a second. I mean, it was said, much like in the Gautam Gambhir mold almost, that even when he did succeed and he got a score, his strike rate would be around 120, 130. 166.6 today, never mind the 5 balls he faced at the end. That is one of the big improvements we've seen in this inning so far. Maybe that anger within.
Could be that anger, and with Ajinkya Rahane you see this over a period of time. It's not that there are some batsmen who would start, take their time, and once they get going, they probably accelerate, they add different shots. But with Rahane, you'll see throughout his innings, whether he gets a 40, whether he gets a 60, whether he gets a 100, what he got today in that case, there is a risk taking that is happening all the time. So there is no difference between, once he gets past 20 or whether he's at 60 or 80 or 100. You don't see striking changing. It's similar shots that he plays. Today we saw something different. As he said, it was Butler in there. But generally it's the same kind of cricketing shots or the risk that he takes to get those runs. And that's why probably it's in the shorter version of the game that he's not as consistent that he's in a longer version, because he needs to take a lot more risk to be at pace with this format of the game.
And they would have been worried, Rajasthan, wouldn't they? Because their firepower was Butler. I mean, the fact that even I sat here thinking, Rahane with Smith together, oops, this could go nowhere quickly. Their strike rates are probably around, at best, 120, whereas a Butler is a 150, 160, 170. But I think Ajinkya did well to adjust things and adapt himself, assisted by some average bowling, as
and there's
I
so
did
much
mention.
going on in his mind. I mean, on one side, okay, he's been relieved of the captaincy. We won't say drop, let's use the word relieved. Maybe that's a relief for him. He's enjoying that. In terms of team selection, okay, he's not quite a contender, or maybe an outside choice for that World Cup. Didn't make it in there. Test player, he has a sort of set slot. So a lot probably going through in terms of where he sits with Indian cricket.
Yeah, I think there are a few players around the world who just like to have a nice settled approach in their mind about what they're here to do. I'm here to bat. If I see a ball, put it away. Jacques Callis, for example, didn't captain South Africa. I think he captained him in a few games. But I think he was also a person who liked to just have a settled mindset about, this is my job and this is what I want to do. And I think Ajinkya is the same kind of guy. I think that the extra decisions, the extra pressure is not really his personality. I think he just likes to get in there, have a calm head and try and see ball, hit ball.
Now, we've been trying to find a phrase here. There are a lot of cricketing terms that have gone down in the annals of history. Now, we've had a gentleman today by the name of Ashton Turner. Remember the 84 of 48 balls at Mohali against India? Well, he's got first ball duck, first ball duck, first ball duck. That's his 3 innings in the IPL so far. And I don't know, I think you've come up with one, Shaun.
Yeah, I think we've got to go with, maybe it's called the flamingo.
The flamingo duck, yeah, the flamingo duck.
There's ducks and king ducks and golden pears, and it's the fact that they were in pink, we'll just go with it.
Yeah, so if you score 3 first ball ducks in a row in T20 cricket, then it's going to be called the flamingo from now on, and you've got Ashton Turner saying for it. That's what he's got. Against Punjab, against Mumbai, against Delhi, he's placed 1 ball each time, and today it could actually have been even worse had he been run out like Sanju Samson without facing a ball. He got a delivery to face. Thank you very much. I'll be on my way. And he was supposed to be the big replacement, really, with Butler not there, looking ahead to the end of the season. Luckily, Rahane's got runs, but otherwise, if you're looking at a guy with a flamingo on his back, it's not good.
Yeah, you don't want to have that flamingo, as you didn't want the king pair either. But that can happen. I mean, first ball to anybody, it can happen. And once it starts, when you're on a roll, I think he'd probably be thinking now, maybe not the first couple of games, but third game, he must have been thinking about that first ball. And then he's suddenly on a track where everybody's just going through with it. Ishant Sharma slows it down and straight to the hands of cover. At that stage, you come in and you want to throw your bat. I feel sad for him because he looked really good against India in that game in Mohali that you mentioned. He took that game away from India. If it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't have lost that game.
I think from Rajasthan's perspective, Ashton needs to turner it around,
If you had a flamingo, we need a drum roll for that.
But the funny thing is, I know I will actually we'll have to check the records. I think, if I can remember correctly, I was in the same situation. I think I got 2 first ballers for Mumbai in the 2008 season, and one of them was on that ground, on the Rajasthan ground. I walked in and back end of the innings, I missed one, and then got out, I think I'll have to check. I think Yuvraj Singh might have got me out in Mumbai. against Kings 11 or something. So I was almost a flamingo.
Yeah. Well, and here we were trying to say, the last time we talked about Shaun Pollock right here on MPL Presents Cricbuzz Live, we were talking about happier things. We had a joy factor question about the great partnership between Mahela Jayawardene and MS Dhoni and how that's a bit of a teaser getting together. And we remember in that series you got a big 91. And a lot of talk about at that time is Shaun Pollock really the batting all-rounder, is he a bowling all-rounder?
Well, I didn't play in the game where they got that massive partnership, thank goodness for that. So, yeah, that was a good day.
Let's have a look at the bowling just to wrap things up here in terms of what they have to defend this with. Because remember, they've gone in at times with multiple spin options. Yes, you've got Riyan Parag, relatively less experienced, but the only frontline spinner they've got here is Shreyas Gopal. He's been excellent this season, but looking at that, how do you see them defending this total?
Oh, I think it'll be interesting to see Dhaval Kulkarni, what he does to Prithvi Shaw, because they play a lot of cricket together in Mumbai, so they know each other. That's one battle that I'd be looking at. And I think it's at the top what happens in those first 4-5 overs. 191 on this wicket. At the end, if you got wickets in hand and if you're running around, then you can get to that total. It's not a ground that you can hit 4s and 6s. And Delhi team, whether it's Rishabh Pant or people around him, they all like trying and hit big scores. So unless they get off to a good start, I think they probably struggle at that end.
Also, the bowling options of the likes of Stuart Binney and Ben Stokes. Remember, Ben Stokes didn't bowl in the last game. I'm sure Steve Smith will have had other ideas. He'll need to have bowling backups.
Yeah, I think he needs to turn to him tonight. They'll probably like to start with Kulkarni, trying to get the ball to shape, but with two left-handers at the crease. From Mumbai, I thought he was really effective when he shaped it away from right-handers into left-handers. Wasn't really a massive strength of his. Archer is obviously a trump card for them, and he'll have to bowl well, particularly in the middle. But they're going to have to rely on Binney and on Stokes at some stage. They're going to have to get some good overs in there, particularly as it doesn't look like it's going to turn. And they were mentioning at the toss, is there going to be a dew factor? They weren't sure. We'll have to watch that one.
The only turn is Turner.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, in case you see Ajay Jadeja looking a little bit grumpy right now, he works very hard, much harder than any of us on the MPL Super Couch prediction, and he got it wrong by 1 run. 190 was the cutoff for him to pick it up, and he missed it by just 1 run.
Yeah, we saw in the game last night the value of 1 run.
Yeah.
The value of 1 run.
Well,
very
one
important.
run in inches. Forget about a run. It's inches.
Inches. So now
So
you
got to
have
get it.
first shot at trying to recover that MPL Super Couch, because this is the end of match prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my heart's with Delhi. I just want them to win. That's the problem. But I think it's a tough total to chase on this ground. If you're an experienced player, then it isn't. But my problem with this team is that there isn't enough experience in there. And even in the field, what you saw, that they weren't thrashed all around, but they still got to 191. You got to run well on this ground, and I don't see that Delhi doing that somewhere.
So you're going with Rajasthan?
Unfortunately.
So what? How many runs?
Oh, now you got to get the runs right as well.
Yeah, just in case there's more than one on the same page.
18, 16?
18 runs.
16.
Oh, 16 runs. 16 runs.
Oh, I just got to pick a number.
Which side are you?
How do I know?
Delhi to win. Chris Morris hit him the last.
Yeah.
Delhi to win. So
Last over.
Which over? Last over.
Last over.
Delhi to win in the last over, 16 runs. Oh, I'm stuck in the middle. I'm going to go a little bit closer. 10 runs. But it's going to be pink, the Flamingos, to win the game right at the end. So we've got 2 for pink, 1 for the Blues of the Delhi Capitals. It's all to play for out there. Remember, this is the first time these two teams are meeting. It's game number 40. They're going to meet again in Delhi in a few days' time. We're going to assess everything in Cricbuzz Combox, and we'll be back to wrap up everything on MPL Presents Cricbuzz Live.